going through my first part that I did. About 10 minutes, so luckily you guys won't have to see it. Yes, this is Thursday morning now, but yeah, I just mentioned like a couple of my favorite players like that I know the Chargers won't be able to get, like a Kyle Pitts from Florida, the tight end, Devontae Smith, the wide receiver from Alabama, even guys like later in the draft like Joseph Ossai, a couple of my favorite players out there. But like I said, I don't think the Chargers are going to be in position to get them. But yes, hope you enjoy the rest of the video where I do a mock draft of the first 4 rounds of what SB Nation did, whether I agree or disagree with them, but it's a handful of players of each picks that I have. So hopefully, of course, got something stuck in my eye, but yes, hope you enjoyed, and yes, continue with the video, please. Alrighty, so let's get into this. So for the first round pick of the LA Chargers in 2021, I do agree with SB Nation with Patrick Surtain Jr. I think he would be an awesome pick. They definitely need a starting cornerback right now. They don't really have that much people. They let go of Casey Hayward as well. So yes, that would be an awesome pick, but to be honest, I think he is going to be gone. So 2 other players that I have in mind in the first round that I think can't miss prospects and they should be available at number 13 is the offensive lineman Rashawn Slater from Northwestern, who a lot of people, his only attribute that they don't like is that he has short arms, but he did play very well at the left tackle spot for them when he did, so I like him a lot. And then also J.C. Horn, the cornerback from South Carolina, who I mentioned beat up Seth Williams when they played this year, but overall he did have a pretty awesome year. And when it comes to Brandon Staley's new defense, when most of the guys, corners and safeties, have to play more man-to-man, he is the better man-to-man prospect defensive player at corner in the draft, so I think he'd be a smart choice for the Chargers there as well. When it comes to the second round, we could kind of go all over the place, depending what they do with that first round, but players that I like, he's been like my second favorite running back in college football the past 3 or 4 years. It's been Travis Etienne from Clemson. Every year he's gotten better, especially when Trevor Lawrence was there. His catching ability in the passing game got a lot better. So I think the Chargers at some point are going to need another running back. They can't rely on Eckler all the time. And Joshua Kelly, a pick a year or 2 ago, I don't know how long it's been. I don't think he was really the right choice for them, so they can move on from him. Then Rashad Bateman, the wide receiver from Minnesota. He's been one of my favorite players past couple seasons as well. I noticed him and Tyler Johnson past couple years at Minnesota. Johnson got drafted last year by the Bucks, but I always thought Bateman was the better player. Always reminded me of Keenan Allen as well, the way their route running is, and they're deceptively faster than people think, around that 6'1", 6'2" range, but he is definitely one of the better wide receiver picks later in the draft after the first round, I believe. Then Alex Leatherwood, a guy who I was hoping the Chargers would draft last year in the first round if he left Alabama, but he decided to go back, try to win a national championship, and he did. But I think that kind of may have hurt his draft stock just because he is a year older now, so less years in the NFL. But to get him in the second round, if they did not end up going offensive lineman, or even if they did go offensive lineman in the first round, to have 2 tackles out there, 2 of the top tackle prospects, top 5, top 10, whichever mock thing you look at, would be awesome if the Chargers could get a guy like Leatherwood there. And then Joe Tryon, he is a defensive end outside linebacker from University of Washington. He kind of just popped up a lot more this year once he got more playing time, but he is a pretty productive player. And since the Chargers are losing and did not re-sign Melvin Ingram, who's been one of their cornerstone defensive ends with Joey Bosa, you kind of have to find a replacement somewhere. Sucks they can't get one of my other favorite players, Joseph Ossai, here, because I think he will be picked a lot higher, but that'd be freaking awesome if they were able to get him in the second round, but I doubt it. Then a guy who's been jumping up draft boards a lot is Asante Samuel Jr. out of Florida State. He does have good NFL pedigree. His dad played, but he is a lot bigger and stronger than his dad, I believe. And before he was like considered a 4th or 5th round pick. Now he's definitely shot up late first, early second, which is where the Chargers are drafting in the 2nd round. So it could be a good pickup for him. I know the coaching staff for the Chargers right now likes him a lot. Then Nick Bolton, a linebacker who came up later on the radar the past couple months out of Missouri. People have always had him high, but I never really checked out the tape. And once I did like his playing ability. But then also what I kind of like is finding guys who have like good stories. Yes, they have to go through hardships, which suck, but that means they're going to be better, more into it. NFL players willing to fight for everything, fight for their family no matter what, and give all their heart to the NFL, so, and the team that drafts them. So I think if he somehow ends up getting past the late 1st round, early 2nd, and the Chargers will always need a linebacker, it could be a very awesome pick for them as well. Now, on to round 3. Yes, I did agree with SB Nation with Ben Cleveland. I think if he's still there, it's a great pickup. But other guys they could look at, as I mentioned before, Richie Grant. He might be picked sooner, he could be picked later, but 3rd round I think is a good area for a guy like Richie Grant. Kind of flying under the radar a bit, but as a safety, the Chargers need any help in case anything happens to Derwin James or Nasir Adderley again. Then they go running back again, in my opinion, in Chuba Hubbard. He was one of the top running backs this past couple years in college, always scoring long runs, having 1,000+ yards rushing, and helping out in the receiving game as well, especially in an offense that really all they do is throw the ball, according to Oklahoma State, but they ran the ball quite a bit. And I think he could be a pretty good steal here in the 3rd round. A tight end they could finally look at in the 3rd round, I think they'll have an opportunity to get, is Brevin Jordan. He's a young tight end out of the University of Miami. He was a pretty talented guy, known him for quite a bit. Was trying to get him to go to USC, but didn't end up doing that. And he became pretty productive this last season in Miami. And I think he could be a good pickup since they don't have Hunter Henry anymore. Then Walker Little is another offensive tackle they could look at in case they didn't get another 1 or 2 in the first couple rounds out of Stanford. If he was healthier, and I believe he didn't play this last year as well, but if he did, he could have been a 1st round pick in my opinion. He was always considered that out of Stanford, so it's a good value pick here. Creed Humphrey is a guard/center out of Oklahoma. He's one of the smarter offensive lineman players out there coming out of college. And since the Chargers are losing out, Pouncey did retire with his brother, they do have a hole there, especially since Dan Feeney has signed with the Jets. So they got to find a center somewhere. And I know they did sign Lindsley as well, but to have a backup center and a guy who could play guard as well in Humphrey, 2 smart guys with Lindsley and Humphrey, I think that's an awesome interior offensive lineman. Then Marvin Wilson, the defensive tackle out of Florida State. Past couple years, he's always been considered a high draft pick. Now all of a sudden, I've seen him in 3rd and 4th rounds. So they get a guy with his type of pedigree and his type of talent this late, I think is a good pick. And also a guy who is really high on a lot of people's minds the past couple years, but for some reason is falling, is Paulson Adebo. I think in his pro day at Stanford, he looked very good. So I don't understand why people don't think that highly of him anymore. I know he did not play this last season, but it's because of COVID. So he's still the same player, if not better now. Then in round 4, to get to the last of the mock drafts that I have them going after, now I have to see, oh yes. So yes, Seth Williams. They did get SB Nation, there's another pick I did agree with, and wide receiver Seth Williams out of Auburn, if he's still available at this point. But also other receivers I do like are Nico Collins. He was a more under the radar guy out of Michigan I like, but once he got to the Senior Bowl and
got some more playing time out there in his pro day. A lot of people are liking him now, which sucks. So hopefully he will still be available as a good value pick in the 4th round. But yes, I see him going there. And then another tight end they could look at in the 4th round out of Boston College is Hunter Long. He is a good blocker, but still really good at catching the ball and making plays down the field as well. He's not the fastest guy in the world, but still somehow he gets open, so it's a good thing to have. The other guy I've looked at during this process is Adrian Ealy in the 4th round. He's an offensive lineman from Oklahoma. They say there's so much talent with this guy, especially when he was coming out of high school and stuff. He's still been very productive and consistent, but for some reason, I don't know why he's not getting picked higher if he's an offensive lineman, still being productive and consistent. But once again, as I'm saying, very good value draft pick here in the 4th round. Then Peyton Turner is a defensive end / defensive tackle from the University of Houston. He's been a pretty good, solid player that I've noticed during this stuff, and when I saw his highlights, it looks pretty awesome. So once again, they need a replacement for Melvin Ingram, and he could be a good guy. They've tried to get some guys from Houston the past couple of years, and I don't even see them playing, but this is definitely one of the guys that will be playing, in my opinion. Then KJ Britt, been one of my favorite linebackers from Auburn the past couple of years. He did not, I don't think he played, or I think he did play this year, but he got injured. Then he went down to the Senior Bowl and tried to do some stuff, but I don't think he could really play. But he's been very good ever since I've been noticing him, and I still think if you get him in the 4th round, I don't have any injury concerns with him, but Chargers need a linebacker value, 4th round pick is the way they should go. And then finally had to throw a USC guy in there at some point, but Talanoa Hufanga is one of the better. He's the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year. He was a consensus All-American at the safety position in college football. He got better and better every single year, and he definitely proved this year, once he was healthy 100%, what he can do throughout an entire season. It was half a season, but he still proved that he could be very productive and a disruptor back there. He could play even linebacker for you, play nickel position as well, up on the line of scrimmage. So he's very versatile, and I think he'd be a great pickup later in the draft in the 4th round. But yeah, those are some of my main players who I feel the Chargers should definitely target. There is definitely a lot more. Definitely a lot more players that they could look at. But those are the guys who I figured will be drafted at those certain spots in those certain rounds. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully some of these are correct. Last couple years they haven't really done the players I've liked, but we'll see what could happen. And yes, the Chargers do have 9 picks, so we'll see if they use those picks to move up or just stay down and take all those 9 players on cheap contracts. So we'll see. Thanks for watching, people. Like and subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what y'all think. Have a great rest of your day. And yes, I just noticed that on my thing. Good luck to the Chargers. Good luck. Gonna need it.